Scripture tells us, though, that we shouldn't be, as God's people, we shouldn't be surprised. Scripture says, do not be surprised at the painful trial that you are suffering, as though something strange were happening to you. You know, God uses these things. He's doing something in you today. Don't be shocked. Don't be surprised by it. Grow in it. James, he says, consider it pure joy, my brothers, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith develops perseverance. I'm not to the pure joy part right now, but I am looking ahead. And I will get there because I know that God's developing faith in us. You guys here that are of the Burr Oak family hear me say this all the time, that our faith, if it isn't tested, it can't be trusted.
God's glory is so cool. And I think that God can be in all of those experiences. And sometimes we experience the wind and the waves. Sometimes we experience the earthquakes and the fire in our lives. But you know what's when we actually experience God in the truest form was when he whispers your true name. I'm reading this book series about, and they have these things called, and you have a true name. You have a name that if said in the right way, in the right manner, and the full name, then they have command over you. And that they can get you to do whatever that you want them to do. The thing that in the real world is that God is the only one with your true name. And he calls you out and it reminds you of who you actually are. See, we have a tendency when we say our name, we also get it wrong. We say, I'm Caleb, I am broken, I have this sin, I have that part of me that's not right. We know who we are on the inside because we're the ones that live with ourselves. We know our darkest and deepest secrets are regrets in our lives, and we sometimes take those on and say, that's who I am. But when God whispers your name, he calls out the true self of who you are, the one that he sees you. And his name is correct for you. Because he doesn't recognize all of your guilt and shame because he's already forgiven all of that. And he calls out your true self, your true being, and says, I know you.
I really hope and pray, and the Lord asked me this, is that I love the people at the table more than I like the way the table looks. That the people like David that I invite to the table are more to me than the way that this looks. And in this season, it's really hard to love people when we can't be with them, but it's really easy to extend the love of God.
I want to talk just briefly about true guilt and false guilt, and true shame and false shame, because Satan wants us to continue to live as if we're guilty, and he wants us to continue to live in shame, even after we've received the good news that Jesus has forgiven us. And it is Satan's way of keeping us from living free. Jesus came to set us free from sin and shame.
There's a word that God has been impressing upon my heart the past couple weeks. I talked to Pastor Kendall earlier and I said when I should share this, and I believe now's the time. There's a passage out of Matthew, and it's about building on the rock and building on the sand. It's familiar to many of us. The rock is still solid. The rock is still standing. The rock is not being moved. But the sand is washing away. The floods of COVID-19 has washed away a lot of sand underneath us. and things that were built upon that sand. Currently, the violence, the anger that is building up within this land and expressed in various ways, there's a lot of things that are being washed away.
Yeah.
And yet the rock is still solid. The rock is still standing, and what is built on that rock is solid.
Yeah.
We mourn those sandcastles that we have built that have washed away. It's like when you're at the beach and you build something and then the wave comes in and it destroys it. And some of the things that we have counted on and have looked for and depended on have changed. They're not the same anymore. But the rock's the same. The rock's the same. And it will stand. It will not be moved. And what is built on it will not be moved.